Why does everyone make it seem like it's so bad if there are girls that are like, yeah, I want a rich man, like I want my husband to be rich? A lot of people are like, okay, well, you only want to get nice bags and nice shoes, and like, yeah, I do, but what about when I'm married to this guy? Is my husband gonna make sure that my kids go to a good school? Is my husband gonna make sure that when I'm pregnant that I'm not gonna be working and all I'm gonna be doing is worrying about the health and the safety of my baby? And when my baby is born, I could just focus on being a mother. God forbid if anyone gets sick, can my husband make sure that I don't get stressed, that we have the money to make sure everything is taken care of? Anyone in my family can get the best medical treatment possible, because medical bills are expensive. I am a nurse, I know. Money is not everything, but it's a lot, and it can definitely change your life. So if I and any other girl wants to say, I only want a guy that will do X, Y, and Z for me, stop judging her. If you want to work hard like a man, you don't mind being pregnant and working, which is so crazy to me, but if you don't mind these things, I don't care. That's none of my business, but get out of my business too.
The problem with your approach is that there aren't enough wealthy men for so many broke women. And there's something many overlook. A man with money also has experience, power, and judgment. He didn't get there by being naive, so he's very likely to protect his assets, whether through a prenup or by simply avoiding commitment with someone who isn't on his same economic or social level. As we'll see in this video, where two women call out the so-called femininity coaches who sell women the illusion that they'll land that millionaire man. If you enjoy this content, help us reach 200,000 subscribers and drop your comment with your opinion. Now, let's get started.
About a year ago, I posted a video saying women who marry for money are corny. I got fried on the internet. However, like many great philosophers, I think my ethos was just a touch too early for the times. I do think the internet is now ready to hear my side. However, instead of saying women who marry for money are corny, I'm going to say women who aspire to marry for money are delusional. And I'll point out three main delusions. I know this from lived experience. I went to one of those fancy New England prep schools. I went to a top 12 school. I had interned in banking. A lot of my friends work in banking. I've worked in tech. I've worked in finance, blah, 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 blah. I know that world, so I can tell you from lived experience. So delusion number one is who these men are actually choosing. I think what made this discourse so exciting in the beginning is it made women believe that a man is going to pluck you from obscurity, from the town that you hate, from the job that you hate, and he can fundamentally change your life. When in reality, these men have a very specific pool of women that they're selecting when they're thinking about partnership. They are selecting women from the business school that they went to, the undergrad that they went to, the pre-professional programs that they are part of, the members-only clubs that they are part of, where they summered over the vacation, family, friends, or maybe through friends of friends. Like maybe he's having a housewarming in his apartment loft in Tribeca and his best friend brings a homegirl and that's how he meets. But it's all through very proximate and concentric circles. And let's say you do get lucky and maybe you connect on Raya or a night out. The second he brings you around friends or the partner at the law firm and you can't talk comfortably about certain things that only people who grew up talking about those things can do, it's a wrap.
A round of applause for this woman. She spoke the truth, plain and simple. Most successful businessmen I know aren't dating girls from poor neighborhoods, and they're not chasing women obsessed with landing a millionaire. I worked in sales, met plenty of wealthy guys, and spent time in places where high-net-worth men socialize. The women, just like in the intro, were nothing more than a casual weekend, because they're not the kind of women these men are looking to marry. The women they do marry come from their own circle. Many of them choose wives from good families, with established names and social standing. Circles you won't belong to, even if you become a millionaire tomorrow, because you don't speak that language. Let's continue.
The second delusion is what the experience of dating this person is actually like. Social media has made it seem like it is countless shopping trips and Chanel bags. The reality is, whether you're dating someone who inherited wealth, who is creating their own wealth, athlete, entertainer, they're always traveling, they're always on the road, they're always working. They have zero time to pay attention to you. It is an extremely lonely relationship. Essentially, you are effectively single with some moments of partnership. Their priority is and will continue to be work. Also, the sort of like attention-seeking behavior that you could get away with someone who wasn't as focused on their career cannot happen. You need to have a robust, full life, a job that you love, friends and family for you to even feel fulfilled in a relationship like that. Because if you're looking for your partner to spend a lot of time and attention on you, it's just not going to happen. I also don't even know where the notion that these finance tech bros are out here spending money and buying Chanel bags. They must have the best PR on the planet. They work for their money. They are some of the cheapest people you will ever meet. And I don't even mean that in a pejorative sense, but I mean that in like when you have to earn your, like spend 15 hours at a desk in order to earn your money, you are not going to spend that on a Chanel bag on a girl that you met 2 weeks ago. And I think that's another thing. I think a lot of people conflate the experiences that they might have with like athletes and entertainers with people who work in corporate tech finance. It's not the same. And the third delusion is I think a lot of people grossly overestimate how much money you will get in alimony or child support. So women, I am telling you this from insider experience. The easiest and less painful way to become a millionaire and have that soft life is to do it yourself.
It's funny because
Exactly. Earn your own money. Stop chasing that millionaire man. He can spot a gold digger from miles away. Trust me, they can tell. In places where men go to do business or in wealthy suburbs, take a look at the women working in nearby clubs, cafes, or restaurants. Most of the waitresses are very attractive young women because they're trying to catch the attention of these men, not just for the tip. And you might ask, what kind of man actually pays attention to them? The 25 to 30-year-old millionaire, the son of a business tycoon? Of course not. It's the 50 to 60-year-old man who knows she's after his money. He understands that with a relatively small amount, taking her to a few nice places, she'll be happy because that alone dazzles her. That's why you always see these dating coaches without a husband, never quite landing the millionaire they tell others to pursue. Coincidence? I don't think so.
women.
I fear the JFK show has activated a delusion in the feminine psyche, which is the delusion that a rich man, a very rich man, is going to come and pluck you from obscurity. Now, first of all, this needs to be said right off the bat. On the off chance that this happens to you, you're not getting JFK Jr., you're getting Hunter Biden, you're getting Elon Musk. You're not actually getting them, but that's the energy that you're getting. The goods will be kind of odd. And all of these femininity coaches giving the same generic advice. Oh, go and sit and work in a hotel lobby. Ma'am, if you do that, not only will the rich men know, all of the women at the hotel will know, the staff will know, everyone knows. And if you can't understand nuance, I'm not saying that if you love a beautiful lobby like the Santa Monica proper and you're an architect and you like to go sit there and answer emails, that's not giving the same energy as this. Like, you're there to work, they're there to work. And everybody knows. I lived in a resort town. I lived in Ojai. There's not a lot to do there. So on the weekends, sometimes you go to Santa Barbara and have lunch at the Rosewood Miramar. Very nice hotel, by the way. And immediately upon walking in, when there were women there doing that, you can tell from their outfit. The outfit alone will give it away.
See what I'm telling you? Everyone can tell you're a gold digger. You're not finding the man of your dreams in those places. You're getting a fun weekend where some guy uses you, and by the next morning, you never hear from him again. Because you're not the woman he wants to marry. Not every man is into a boss-type woman. But keep this in mind. Those men aren't looking for a woman without family background or higher education either. Even if she doesn't work and focuses on the home, her last name and her family give her connections that are often more valuable than money. Let's continue.
Rich people dress very differently from how women who are trying to appear like that dress. It's a bad pantomime of wealth. And the people who I do know who were kind of plucked from obscurity by the weird, eccentric billionaire let me just tell you, they are paying for it by the energy they have to deal with, you know, whether that's like they're with a man who regularly gets them kicked out of hotels because he smokes in the hotel room, or the man is expected to be allowed to have multiple sexual partners and you don't get to ask any questions. If it's a Nepo situation, you're dealing with a really weird, psychotic family dynamic and probably a lot of enmeshment. You're not giving Amal Clooney, okay? You're giving like Fashion Nova ambassador. And the one thing money can't actually buy is love. To get love, you don't seek love. You have to remove all of the obstacles that prevent you from being love, from being in that vibration. And that vibration is fear-based, scarcity-based. So when you operate from that vibration, that is inevitably what you will attract. Also, the idea that this is like high value dating, and it's sort of coded in the same way as like presenting very aloof, pretending to be busy, being dismissive, pretending to be unavailable. All of these things
Here's another uncomfortable truth. You're not offering anything that a younger, more attractive woman can't offer. And let's be clear, coming from a humble or working class background doesn't stop you from finding a good man. The problem starts when you show up with unrealistic demands, that he earns 6 figures, is 6 feet tall, has a perfect physique, while you're not meeting that same standard yourself. There's also a complete disconnect from the reality of these men. Most businessmen are not that over-the-top alpha character you see on social media. They're regular guys, focused on work, short on time, more likely to be in a cafe with a laptop than at a nightclub. That millionaire you see online is a fantasy. The real one is more low-key, more practical, and not interested in impressing anyone by wasting money. This kind of man is looking for a down-to-earth woman to build with, not someone who expects him to drop $5,000 on a weekend date and a Chanel bag just to go out with a broke woman.
I've seen a lot of older women getting on TikTok recently saying don't get married. And I just saw a video from a younger girl asking if those women are dead ass. And I don't know about you, but I am inclined to listen to older women. And when they say that getting married young and getting married and having children young ruin their lives, I believe them. It's like that TikTok sound going around right now that's like, and I never made it to Paris. You have all these women entering their 40s, their 50s, even their 60s, and they're realizing that they never got to live out their dreams and they never got to do all the things that they wanted to do in life because they chose to get married and have children before the age of 25. I'm 25 in a relationship, and literally one of the last things on my mind is marriage. If you're 19, 20, 21, and you're like, should I get married? Should I push my boyfriend to propose? Should I accept if he proposed? If you're questioning it, don't.
Stop it. Get some help.
The truth is, I don't think her boyfriend actually disagrees with her. In fact, we're entering an era where more and more men prefer cohabitation over marriage. First, because getting married today is extremely expensive. The wedding alone represents a massive financial burden just to start a relationship. Second, marriage is a contract that obligates a man to give up part of all his assets. On top of that, even if the marriage lasted many years, he still has to pay alimony, which is essentially an abuse against men. But she says that now. Let her reach 33 or older, and you'll see how quickly that opinion changes, especially after she has a child and starts wanting the financial security that comes with her boyfriend. But the video you're about to see is very revealing.
Men actually benefit from marriage more than women do. And when you look at the statistics of like post-divorce mental health outcomes, men have worse mental health outcomes than women. Women are typically happier after divorce. And so if you want to argue that marriage disproportionately benefits women, like that's not true.
I'd be pretty unhappy too if I was on child support or alimony and I had a hard time seeing my kids.
And you had to support your children. What a hard life.
Well, you understand that it's not taxed. So the problem is they take over 50% of the man's income because it's not, so they have to pay taxes on the stuff they're giving her and take half of his paycheck.
To support his children that he wants to be involved in their lives.
Right, but it wasn't his choice because women leave the majority of the time.
It is his choice to relinquish his parental rights if he wants to.
What I'm saying is many men want to be married and they want to be an involved father and they want to stay with the mother of their children. My point is if she makes the decision to leave, she should pay for it. If you want to leave, that's totally fine, but you should pay to raise your kid.
Is it not his child as well?
And he should pay for the time. That's why I said 50-50 custody off the bat, no child support, no alimony.
So she gets to take on all of the child care responsibilities, but he doesn't have to like pay anything. He doesn't have to have any buy-in.
I didn't say all, I said 50-50 custody. He should have the kid half the time.
But doesn't have to pay any money towards it.
No, he should pay for the kid when the kid's at his house.
Okay, and so the majority of the time when the kid is at the mother's house, he doesn't have to be involved in any way financially?
No, she should pay for it. She has a job. Why should he have to pay for a kid?
He should support it.
If she chose to have the kid and she chooses divorce, why should she not have to pay for her own decision? That's the thing. See, there it is. You want all the freedom to do whatever you want, but you don't want to have to pay for it.
No, because I also think that the way that you look at these issues and the way that you look at these divorces is very nefarious towards women. And so I just think that it's very interesting to see the way that you speak about women and the way that you think about women and the way that you think that we make these decisions as if we're just flippantly getting a divorce and like taking advantage of men, as if like it's not more nuanced than that, because you don't seem to appreciate the nuance of the human experience and the complexity of relationships.
You know, I think there are valid reasons for divorce. If women want to divorce, that's totally fine. They can do that. I think that they should pay for their decisions. Again, this goes back to, I say if you want the freedom to do something, you should take the responsibility that comes with it. You want them to have the freedom to do something, but not have the responsibility that comes with it. So you say you can have the freedom to divorce. Totally, we agree, right? We can have the freedom to be a single mother, to go into medicine or whatever career you want, but I think you should have the responsibility to pay for it. And I don't think do you think that's unreasonable?
It's not unreasonable. I've always believed that a father who shares responsibility 50-50 shouldn't have to pay child support, much less alimony. The problem is that child support isn't a fixed payment. It's a percentage that usually ranges from 10 to 20%. That means it doesn't matter how much you earn. They'll take that percentage from you. In other words, there's no real escape from it. But the worst part is that this woman has a very biased view of the issue. Not all women get divorced because of abuse. Some leave for freedom, because they cheat on their husbands, because they simply fall out of love, want to go out more, or are just bored. And not all mothers are automatically better caregivers than fathers. There are many children who would actually prefer to live with their father. Yet in many cases, the courts still favor the mother when making custody decisions. What's even worse is that many men who obtain custody don't receive a single cent from the woman. That's something many of them conveniently leave out, because they all want the divorce, but not the responsibility that comes with it.
Well, I would just flip it around, right? I would say that if men want the freedom to be a part of their child's life, then they should accept the responsibility that entails, which includes financial responsibility.
But women have the right to work now.
Yeah, but men still out-earn women.
Because they do harder jobs.
Not necessarily, no. Because
you don't think doing an infrastructure job is more difficult than the number one employers of women, which is admin, assistants, education. So education, you get out at like 3 o'clock, 2:30. I mean, there's men dying, getting you the chair you're sitting on. There's men dying to protect you, literally.
So statistically, when they look at the gender wage gap, they've shown that women in the exact same positions with the exact same qualifications make less than men. So it's not this like strange overarching pattern that you like to point out that men are in these dangerous jobs and they run society. Like that's just not true when it comes to the gender wage gap. They've controlled for these variables when they study this, and there's still a very significant gender wage gap, even when you control for different industries, different degrees, different qualifications, different hours, women working all of the same things as men, hours, degrees, industries, education, whatever, still make less than men. So if you want to pull it back towards childcare or child support, then you have to recognize that like on a societal scale, like the wage gap is there. And so that's also going to contribute to the gap in child support and financial responsibility.
Well, women don't do as good of a job. They don't produce as much in the workforce.
That's
why they get
actually
paid less.
incorrect. They
make 80% of the world's stuff. Women.
Okay.
Men have invented 90% of things. Men.
Where did you get that statistic?
Google it.
Google it. Right. I will. I would argue that especially historically.
A World Without Men too. It's in that book.
Okay.
It's an economist. He breaks down.
I would argue that also historically women have been erased from their accomplishments. A lot of people don't know that Albert Einstein had a wife who actually helped him and got the same degrees that he did. She went to the same schools that he did, same classes, but they didn't award her a degree because she was a woman. And I'm not done. And she helped him develop the monumental calculations that we still utilize today. And he's been quoted saying that he would be nowhere near as successful and would have never found developed the equations that he did without her. So that's just one anecdotal part. But when you look at the actual productivity and efficiency of women, if you are a female surgeon, you are going to have better surgical outcomes. This has been studied numerous times, and statistically...
Gotcha, bitch!
The wage gap is a myth. Most physical labor jobs are done by men. The majority of overtime hours across almost every industry are worked by men. Warehousing, distribution, maritime, and land logistics. All of that is dominated by men. Construction is about 95% male. So it's not that women are paid less. It's that many of them choose more comfortable jobs that pay less. Today, women attend college more than men, but they tend to pursue careers like law, medicine, or business administration. In fields like science, engineering, and most of its branches, or mathematics, you almost never see women studying there. Why do you think people are concerned about men not going to college? It's not because they're afraid men won't pursue useless degrees like gender ideology. It's because the careers that actually contribute to society's advancement, like science, research, and mathematics, are struggling to attract people. But like I said, that doesn't fit their narrative. That's one of the reasons marriage is in free fall.
Women.
Name one benefit that a man gets from marriage that he wouldn't get in a regular relationship.
Just one.
Well, I think, as a woman, if you're...
I'm asking you as a man, since you're, attacking men for being Peter Pan.
I think a lot of men who choose to get married are incentivized by the fact that they are able to claim that woman as theirs. And
but name one benefit that they would get in a marriage that they wouldn't get in a regular relationship.
Well, I think even though it's not 100%, there's peace of mind that woman is going to be loyal to you.
The answer is there's none. You're dancing around it. There is none. So my thing is this. I think it's in a man's best interest to stay Peter Pan, as you would say. And I think women shame men because men gain their value in their 40s. Men understand the sexual marketplace better. They understand that women have no leverage in their 40s. And they date down and they get younger, more attractive girls. And that's the best way to go in today's day and age, where we live in a deregulated sexual marketplace where women could take everything they got, take their kids, etc. Why the hell would a guy want to commit to women nowadays when, honestly, we got wholeflation?
There's obviously more incentive for women to get married than men, obviously.
Way more.
But what I'm suggesting is there's also benefits to men getting married. And I think...
Name one.
I just told you. I think
that he wouldn't get outside of a regular relationship.
I just told you, the women, knowing that your woman is perhaps going to be more loyal to you when she's your wife versus your girlfriend.
She should be displaying that anyway.
Well, I think...
You could say marriage exists so a man can claim a woman as his own. But if someone's loyalty depends on a signed piece of paper, then maybe that person was never truly loyal to begin with. Many men who get married after years of living together say something interesting. Their lives barely change. The relationship was already working long before the paperwork. Because in reality, on the wedding day the man gets married for love, while the woman gets married for the benefits. The system itself encourages it. There are tax advantages, automatic rights over assets, inheritance rights, insurance benefits, and other legal privileges that appear once a marriage exists. In some places, after several years of living together, a person can even claim part of the assets accumulated during the relationship. So the question becomes interesting. If the system pushes so strongly toward marriage, who is it really trying to protect financially?
Marriage is not beneficial to women at all. Studies have shown and proven that the happiest people is childless, single women. And men, they live longer, they have better health, and they are the happiest when they are in a marriage. There's a reason behind that. I heard a man say on here that so what if a woman works the same amount of hours as the man? So what that she got to come home and cook and clean and rear their children? So what? That is how they really feel, ladies. They want a dictatorship. They want control. They don't want to be a partner in the relationship with you. They want to be able to just go to work and then come home and sit on their ass and not do absolutely nothing, but they want you to give birth to their children and take care of their children and take care of them and all their issues and their problems and basically be a second mother. They want to go from their mama's house to your house and you play their mama. That is not love. That is not relationship. That is not partnership. And that is something that you don't need nor deserve. You deserve a partner who actually wants to bring something to your life and not extract your labor for free, because that's all they really want. And somebody to hunch on every night. They want you to do all of that and then help pay the bills, but they're traditional men and they have a problem with modern women. Absolutely not. Marriage ain't beneficial to us.
Let's talk about this using actual data, because when you look at real studies, the story is very different. According to data from the Pew Research Center and the U.S. Census Bureau, 2024, households headed by married individuals have significantly higher average wealth than households headed by single individuals. Among singles, the average net worth is around $82,100 for men and $58,100 for women. Another analysis from the University of Chicago's General Social Survey found something interesting. Married women with children report higher levels of happiness than many single women without children. And if you look at data from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the general conclusion is clear. On average, married people tend to have better health and live longer than those who are not married. That's why the narrative that women are happier single sounds good on social media, but the data doesn't always tell the same story. Many women live below the poverty line. Soon I'll bring you a video about women over 40 who can't find work anymore, so you can see how employers often won't even hire them. But sure, they're the happiest ones. Give me a break.
Dating in 2026 is crazy. Nowadays, you gotta ask, like, hey, are you single? Or are you single, like, still share a dog with your ex single? Or are you single, like, still married but separated single? Or are you single, like, talking to 10 people but single? Or are you single but not over your ex yet and going through, like, a self-discovery, self-journey, and new awakening single? What kind of single are you?
Well, it would be a guy who doesn't want a woman covered in tattoos with a septum ring. In sales, there's a basic rule. It doesn't matter what the seller wants, it matters what the buyer wants. And in this case, if you want to attract a specific type of man, you have to present yourself as the kind of woman that man is looking for. It's that simple. But she wants the perfect type, the 10 out of 10 man, and expects him to settle for a woman who, at a glance, comes across as unstable. The wall keeps collecting.
I'm in a room of like 100 men. And not one of them has approached. I just think men this day and age don't want to date.
Because men are no longer falling for it. They are no longer just throwing out their money at women that do not take them seriously. They are no longer willing to waste their time, effort, and resources, and I think that this is a win. Because men should be cautious. They have a lot to lose. It is why I always recommend that before they get invested into a woman, that they do a public data check on a trusted website like publicdatacheck.com. That is where so many of the red flags can be filtered out, and a lot of men can save a lot of their time.
Men are starting to do what women like to say. We're not alone because we have our friends. Well, look, there are plenty of men they're talking with their friends without needing to approach you. Men are learning that nowadays not every woman is worth the effort, and they'd rather be selective about the kind of woman they want in their life. And on top of that, that whole dynamic of spending money for no reason is fading. Fewer and fewer men are willing to take someone out, pay, and put in effort for a woman who doesn't show genuine interest.
This is going to sound silly and crazy, but I know that this message is going to find those that it was meant to. Stop dating losers. And like, this is a very specific message, and my guides are typically not so straightforward, so I trust that you must need that. Stop dating losers. You are somebody who quite literally in your head will think to yourself, this person's a loser. Like, this guy, this girl's a loser. And you ignore that because you feel like you're being mean. You feel like you're being judgmental, but that's literally your discernment. Like, that is your guides trying to say, hey, like, no, cut it off here. You deserve better. Like, move on. Start taking yourself more seriously. Like, you are worth so much more than you have been giving yourself credit for. Stop dating losers.
Oh, hell no!
Because of that mindset, we're seeing so many women single in their 30s hitting the wall because the wall doesn't forgive. So let me ask you this. What's a loser according to women? A man who still lives with his parents after 25? A man who doesn't own a house by 30? Or a man who doesn't make six figures, isn't 6 feet tall, and doesn't have a six-pack? Because it reminds me of a meme I saw. It said, if your dad is over 50 and still working, you expect a guy who's barely 25 to be a millionaire and fund a lifestyle you've never even lived yourself. Don't be ridiculous. As always, the problem isn't a lack of options, it's a lack of common sense.
And look, let me tell you something. A nigga gonna always skate where it's slippery at, okay? Tighten up your program. Tighten it up. Because it's certain women that niggas just know right off the bat, like, oh, I can't play with this one. She ain't going for what the last one was going for. And not the fuck. Don't even try it. Don't even try it. You will be cut, blocked, stripped of everything that you got on the first day, on the first time that you play over here. And it wasn't always that way. It took one nigga to think that he could skate and think that shit was slippery until I had to really restrict all access and really tighten up the program. And he ruined it for every nigga that came after, because it's like, oh, you thought you could fuck around. And you fucked around and you found out. Thank you. Stay with me. Tighten up your program. A lot of these niggas, they be playing with certain females because they know that they can. They know that they gonna go for whatever. They could tell them whatever. They could treat them whatever. And they gonna go for it. They gonna lay down, bust it open, get in that kitchen, cook whatever, do whatever, put shit in their name for a nigga. They gonna, they gonna ride or die for a nigga. Baby, not around here. That's all I'm gonna say. Tighten up your program. Thank ya.
Stop it. Get some help.
This is another woman who likes going for a chat. I once met a woman who financially supported a man. This guy was way out of her league. She gave him money. She was a professional woman, not very attractive, but she earned good money. She gave that man everything. He was physically attractive, completely out of her league. You might say he was using her, that he was taking advantage of her. I won't argue with that. He was a classic womanizing Chad. But she wanted his seed. This woman had 3 children with him, and he never gave her anything in return, but her kids are very attractive, with highly desirable genetics. She's genuinely happy with her children. That's when I realized there are women who will do whatever it takes to get the genetics of these kinds of men, even if it means supporting them financially. So if you see a man like that with a woman who's spending money to keep him around, consider that she's getting something from him. Because in the end, you never really know who's benefiting from whom.
I just cheated on my husband with his brother and I have no regrets. Story time. So me and my husband, who we'll call Steve, were high school sweethearts and we got married when we were 20 years old. I was working a really successful job and we were living the life we had always dreamed of in high school. My husband would treat us like royalty. He'd shower the kids with flowers, gifts. However, over time, he started to get more and more distant with us. I'd catch him on his phone, like secretly texting. And this is when I discovered that Steven was having an affair. So we had a big old conversation about this and he told me that he felt distant in the relationship and that he was no longer fulfilled. And the reason we were so distant is because I was working my arse off to provide for our family because Steve hasn't had a job for years. And not gonna lie, I really wanted to leave the marriage at this point. But we decided that it might be good to try out couples counselling. And for the first couple of months, this really did help, but then it just deteriorated all over again. So when I confronted about it this time, he said that he was having more affairs. And this time around, Steve had been spending nights at other women's houses. Sleepovers with Steven. He had even had other women at our house in our bed. Naturally, I moved this man into the guest bedroom because I couldn't even bear to look at him. You're disgusting. And throughout all of this, my husband's brother, who we'll call Dave, was my main support. Dave would pick the children up from school, he would make tea for them. And this went on for 2 years. And it even got to the point where the children started to call Dave Dad. Me and Dave were obviously spending a lot of time together and I can't lie, I absolutely loved it. So last Christmas, Dave booked me, my husband and our kids, all of us, a trip to Fiji. Fiji! Dave was just desperate for me and his brother to fix things. However, when my husband found out, he told us to F off. Like, babe, it's Fiji! Fiji! A free holiday to Fiji! He just outright refused to go. In the comments, is anyone else refusing a trip to Fiji? Because I'm sure as hell not. When I asked him why he wouldn't go, it said because he wouldn't go on holiday with our little brats. He's spouting all of this shit about how our kids aren't ours anymore and that they were mistakes anyway. And actually, I asked Dave to come on the holiday. Obviously, on this trip, me and Dave got it on. I'm not gonna lie, girlies, I chose the wrong brother. But the universe showed me the way to the right brother. Get back this morning to find my husband sat on the sofa. Let me know if you want part 2.
Damn! In life, there are lines you don't cross, and sleeping with your brother's woman is one of them. I could believe that a friend or some trusted man might fall for your woman. There are trash friends, but a brother is on a whole different level of what it means to be a terrible person. I know there will be the usual comments saying he cheated on her, and yes, he's a bad man. But he never slept with her friend, her cousins, or her sisters. Those were women outside the family. I'm not saying that's right, but what she did is far worse, and she mocks it. She mocks the fact that she went to bed with her husband's brother. She mocks destroying a family, making 2 brothers hate each other to the core, and ensuring that family will never be the same again. Her actions will also affect her children with that man, as well as the entire family. That man has carved a stigma into his life that will never be erased, because under no circumstances do you sleep with your brother's wife, the mother of his 2 children. So no, it's not the same. But let's continue.
I cheated on my husband with his brother and I have no regrets. Storytime part 2. So like I said, we got home from Fiji and my husband was sat on the sofa. This man was bloody fuming. And the first thing he said to me was, why do you think it's a good idea to take my brother? Because he's sexy and he's got a big... I said, well, I wasn't going to go on my own. To which he responded, well, the right thing to do would have been discard the ticket. Steve then started to get a little bit too leery for my liking and would not calm down. Calm down. Now, Hans, I'm in my sticking up for myself era, so I asked if he had had any ladies over whilst I was in Fiji. Of course he had. And then he got really mad at me and began to question whether or not he was actually the father of our children. Steve, please put the straws down and stop clutching them. He was now accusing Steve of actually being the father. And he was saying they even look like him. Babe, do you understand genetics? They're gonna look somewhat like him. And now Steve is forcing us to get a DNA test on both of our children. And after this, I just straight up asked him for a divorce. And I was genuinely shocked at his response. He got so upset. But not like the crying upset, more like the defeated kind of upset. I think he'd kind of started to realise as well that he had messed up his kid's life. He then apologised and began begging us to stay as a couple and a family. And I'm not gonna lie, I very heavily considered this. because I ended up seeing the guy that I'd fallen in love with in high school again. And then I realised who the fuck I was and realised that there was no way in hell that this man was getting another chance. He was literally begging me to make sure that I would let him see his children. I said, yes, of course, no problem, not an issue at all, but it had to be on the children's terms. After this, I chucked Steve out that house. I booked him an Uber and told him to go wherever he needed to go, preferably in the bin. And Stephen packed up his stuff and went really easily, actually. After this, Dave and I had a little chat about how we were going to move forward with everything. We ended up talking about everything that had gone down on the trip and actually how special that was for us. We kind of decided that we were going to give it a go of actually dating. And we did say that we would make sure to not actually start dating until the divorce was finalised. And this would kind of also give my children a little bit of an adjustment time as well. I told them that, of course, they can see Steve whenever they want to, but he won't be moving in with us straight away. A couple little random updates for you. The kids are now in therapy because I thought it'd be good for them. We did get a DNA test and it turns out that the children are in fact Steve's. And through the divorce proceedings, Stephen has decided that he wants to have sole custody of the children. This being the man that didn't want to go on holiday with them, called them brats, and also hasn't looked after them for the past 2 years. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments.
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
I can imagine Dave must be proud. He went from being the uncle to the stepfather. I'll tell you something. For less than this, men have made mistakes they now regret from behind bars. Because this woman knew very well that Steve was broken. She had been with him for years, long enough to know he wouldn't have the backbone to stand up to his brother. And you heard what she said when her husband asked why she brought his brother. Her answer was that he was sexy and had a big, you know what? That's humiliating. That pushes a man to the edge. That's the kind of thing that breaks a man. I'm not defending him. Like I said, he has no values for cheating on his wife. But he never destroyed his family. She did. In short, he lost his marriage, his children, and his own brother took his woman. The lesson here: not everyone close to you has good intentions. Sometimes, the one who helps you the most is just waiting for their chance. Because in this game, naivety comes at a high price.
My man, you need to run. You need to run.
Oh, hell no!
I ended up leaving my fiance
How come?
for, I don't know, that's the thing.
Did you meet somebody new?
I did. It was somebody that lived in the area, and I got curious about who this person was, and I took it too far and I acted on it. And then, ended up leaving my fiance and regretted it almost immediately. I actually just left that other relationship that I was in. And I think I want to repair things with my ex-fiance, and I think he does too. But I don't know where to start.
I'm wondering if you're not just in a cloud of guilt and loneliness.
That's the thing. I don't know. I mean,
Then I would pause on trying to run back and fix this thing. I'm afraid it's going to happen again.
I know that's my worry too, and I don't want it to happen again. And that's why, I'm taking the steps to try and figure out why I did what I did. And I just started therapy last week.
I know, but the bigger thing is you making an ironclad commitment. I'm never going to do that again. He can't anchor in and trust you again until you trust you, and you don't trust you right now. I mean, here's the thing. To answer your question, the path back in something like this is you ask him, I would like a roadmap to rebuild trust with you because I blew your life up. I blew my life up. I blew your life up. I need a roadmap to trust.
We could have been a good couple. We could have had something special. But you one crazy ass bitch.
Let me make something clear for both men and women. Believing in God doesn't mean you have to tolerate betrayal or disrespect. Forgiving is one thing, but choosing that person again as your partner is something completely different. If a woman leaves you for another man, it's because something was missing with you. If you were unfaithful and she cheated on you, maybe she was trying to give you a taste of your own medicine. But even then, that relationship has no future. From my personal perspective, I'd rather start over 1,000 times with someone new than give a cheater another chance. When a relationship goes through that, something breaks. Men who go through that never truly have peace again, because you end up becoming toxic and distrustful. Believe me, to live with that kind of stress, I'd rather meet someone new and try again with a different person. In life, you have to learn to let go of what hurts you. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, the questions are for you. Would you go back to a woman who has been unfaithful to you? How do you see a man sleeping with his brother's wife? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to keep creating more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the channel.